What's up, everybody? Today I'm about to go shopping for the party on Saturday. Let's go.
And right now at 5, the Philadelphia medical examiner releasing new details today in the death of Kada Scott. And we now know how she was killed. Today, murder suspect Keon King appeared in court today for his arraignment. This is the Fox 29 News at 5. I'm Jason Martinez.
I'm Sheba Russell. King now facing capital murder charges.
Sometimes the scariest part about true crime isn't crime itself. It's how quickly trust can turn into tragedy. The story of Kada Scott proves just that. A beautiful young woman, full of life and ambition, who vanished one night in Philadelphia, only to be found buried behind an abandoned school. If you haven't seen our previous video on how her body was found, make sure to check it out after this one. But before we dive in, please, don't just watch and scroll. Take a second to like this video, subscribe to Shadow Crime, and click that bell icon. Stories like this one remind us that awareness isn't just knowledge. It can literally save a life. Now, let's get into what happened after Kada's body was found and the shocking details that came out about the man at the center of it all, Keon King. After days of searching and praying for her safe return, the confirmation hit hard. DNA tests proved the remains discovered behind a vacant school in East Germantown were indeed Kada's. Her family's worst fears became reality. The medical examiner confirmed she died from a single gunshot wound to the head. That detail alone was devastating, but what investigators uncovered next made the story even darker. Detectives quickly connected the dots back to 21-year-old Keon King, a man Kada had known before her disappearance. Their connection wasn't random. It ran deep enough to leave a digital trail of messages that investigators later used to piece together what might have really happened. Court documents revealed something eerie. Hours before she disappeared, Kada sent a text to a number believed to be King's. It read, "Kidnap me again." It sounded strange, almost playful, but in hindsight it felt chilling. The person on the other end, identified as Kel, replied, "Better be up too." Those words became one of the key pieces of evidence in the investigation. People couldn't help but wonder, was this an inside joke between two people who once shared something? Or was it a cry for attention, a dangerous game that ended in tragedy? Investigators believe that after those texts, Kada met up with King that night. Her phone's last known location moved in sync with his, both heading toward the area where her body would later be found. Surveillance cameras even caught glimpses of a car matching King's, stopping near the site in the early hours of the morning. What's worse, video footage didn't just show one person. It captured two people getting out of the vehicle and removing what appeared to be a heavy object. Police now believe King wasn't alone when this happened, that there may have been an accomplice helping him conceal the crime. When questioned, King denied everything. But investigators already had enough evidence to charge him, not just of murder, but also robbery, kidnapping, abuse of a corpse, tamper with evidence, and conspiracy. He was officially accused of taking Kada's life and trying to erase every trace of it. Her death shook the city, not just because of how horrific it was, but because of how preventable it might have been. Months earlier, King had been arrested for kidnapping and strangling another woman. Those charges were dropped when the victim didn't show up to court. If the system had followed through, maybe Kada would still be alive today.
And right now at 5, the Philadelphia medical examiner releasing new details today in the death of Kada Scott. And we now know how she was killed. Today, murder suspect Keon King appeared in court today for his arraignment. This is the Fox 29 News at 5. I'm Jason Martinez.
I'm Sheba Russell. King now facing capital murder charges. Let's get right to it. Jennifer, you were in court today as King was arraigned.
Yes, Sheba and Jason, Keon King appeared over video conference for his arraignment, and he was polite, answering yes, ma'am, when the judge asked him a question. King has been in custody for over a week now in connection to Kada Scott's disappearance and now murder, and the judge says he'll remain behind bars without bail. New this morning, the Philadelphia medical examiner announcing Kada Scott's cause of death, a gunshot wound to the head. Keon King is accused of killing Scott and appeared in court Thursday morning for new charges, including murder, tampering with evidence, conspiracy, and abuse of corpse. King was previously charged with kidnapping and arson in Scott's disappearance. 23-year-old Scott was reported missing October 4th. Police discovered her remains in a wooded area 2 weeks later, October 18th, behind the vacant Ada Lewis Middle School. New court documents released this week say Scott and King shared text messages the day she disappeared. Detectives say King's cell phone movement and activity place him at each step of the criminal timeline developed in the homicide investigation. Police also have video evidence of a stolen black Hyundai Accent parked at the Aubrey Rec Center next to the old middle school. Investigators believe Scott's body was in that car. Surveillance video going into the early morning hours October 6 allegedly shows two people removing a heavy object consistent with a human body. Police say they're seen on video carrying the object in the direction where Scott's remains were found.
When people learned about that drop kidnapping charge, outrage spread fast. It wasn't just anger, it was disbelief. How could a man with such serious accusations walk free and then end up connected to a young woman's death? It made everyone question how many red flags were ignored before it was too late. Kada's friends describe her as trusting, kind-hearted, and always ready to forgive. She saw good in people, even when others warned her to be careful. And that's what makes this case so haunting. It feels like a tragedy that might have been stopped if someone, anyone, had stepped in sooner. Investigators kept digging, and what they found painted a disturbing picture. King wasn't just a random acquaintance. He and Kada had a complicated past. Some reports suggested they might have been romantically involved at one point, but things had grown toxic. She had allegedly told friends that he'd been calling and texting her repeatedly, sometimes harassing her. Those messages that surfaced after her death gave people chills. That "kidnap me again" text looked less like a joke and more like the echo of something deeper. Maybe she was being sarcastic, or maybe it was her way of downplaying fear she didn't want to admit. Either way, that one message became the bridge between her disappearance and King's arrest. After King turned himself in on the earlier kidnapping charge, police began connecting him to Kada's disappearance. The timing, the messages, the matching phone data. Everything aligned too perfectly. His phone was pinged in the same area her remains were later found, and surveillance showed movement consistent with him disposing of something heavy. It all built a timeline too precise to ignore. But here's where things got even stranger. When investigators checked that same area days earlier, they found nothing. It was as if her body had been placed there later, possibly by more than one person. That's what led to the theory that King may have had help. Police said video footage showed two figures moving around the vehicle, and that opened a new angle in the case. The Philadelphia District Attorney even confirmed that other individuals could be investigated for helping after the fact. It was clear King might not have acted completely alone. That means this story isn't finished. There might be more arrests coming. Meanwhile, the community mourned. Candlelight vigils filled the streets. People holding up photos of Kada smiling, her energy so alive in every picture. Her family spoke out, calling for accountability and justice not just for their daughter, but for all women failed by a broken system. Her mother's words broke hearts across the city. If someone says they're being harassed, believe them the first time. Don't wait until it's too late. That quote spread everywhere. It became a painful reminder that small warnings can turn into headlines if ignored. Kada's story isn't just about one man's evil. It's about a society that sometimes doesn't act fast enough to protect the innocent. Even now, people still question how a 23-year-old woman could vanish after so many warning signs. How did a man with a violent past get another chance to hurt someone else? It's those questions that linger long after the news fades away.
The community vows to continue saying her name until there are answers and justice for Kada Scott.
Her wings came too soon.
Yes.
Say her name! Kada Scott! Say her name! Kada Scott!
Forever in our hearts, we thought of you with love today.
A second day of remembrance. People gathered again outside the former Ada Lewis Middle School, where Kada Scott's remains were found buried over the weekend, confirmed by the Philadelphia ME yesterday.
Say her name!
Following a candlelight vigil last night, this evening the crowd released dozens of white balloons in her memory. People who knew her and many who did not embraced each other while shedding tears.
People like, do you know her? I don't have to know her. I live in this community. She's a child. She's a child of God.
Donna Cowlick held tight her balloons before releasing them later as a show of support for Kada's family.
My heart is aching. I haven't slept in like 6 days. I have a daughter.
Members of Mothers in Charge came out in numbers, knowing firsthand the pain of losing a child to violence.
Just know that she's still close to you, that love never dies. Love lives forever, and her love will live with that family forever.
The group of women are standing strong for Kada's family in the midst of their own lifelong grief.
Hopefully that they can find some kind of peace in
When you think about everything that's come out since Kada's death, it's hard not to feel a mix of sadness and anger. The investigation revealed that King wasn't just charged with murder. He also faced charges for robbery, abuse of a corpse, and tampering with evidence. Prosecutors said those extra charges came because of how far he wanted to cover up what he did. It wasn't just a moment of rage. It was planned, cold, calculated. Investigators believe that after Kada was killed, her body was moved and buried behind an abandoned school in East Germantown. The fact that they found her there, so far from where she was last seen, shows how deliberate it was. It wasn't just about hiding evidence. It was about erasing her, as if her life could be buried away like nothing ever happened. But the truth has a way of surfacing, even from the dirt. Phone records, GPS data, surveillance footage, piece by piece. It all built a picture that pointed straight to Keon King. And the more evidence police uncovered, the harder it became for him to deny it. Yet, through every interview and every court appearance, he stayed silent. No emotion, no explanation, just an empty stare that left everyone wondering. What kind of person could do something like that and feel nothing? But there's another layer to this case that keeps people talking. The unanswered question of who else was involved. Remember that video footage showing 2 people near the burial site? Authorities haven't released names, but they confirmed that investigations are ongoing. They believe at least one other person helped to move the body. That detail alone sends chills down your spine. Imagine helping someone hide something so horrific and still walking around like nothing happened. The tragedy also reignited conversations about how the justice system handles repeat offenders. City officials admitted that the earlier kidnapping case against King should never have been dropped so easily. The fact that it was, and that it might have cost a young woman her life, is something the city is now trying to reckon with. There's talk of changing how such cases are handled, because Kada's death exposed flaws that can't be ignored anymore. Her story has since become a rallying cry. People share her name not just in grief, but as a warning. Social media is filled with messages urging others to trust their instincts, report threats, and push for justice even when the system hesitates. Her face, once just a local missing person photo, is now a symbol of how fragile safety can be. And that's the part that hits hardest. Kada wasn't doing anything wrong. She was in the wrong place or with the wrong people. She was just living her life, trusting someone she knew, and that trust cost her everything. It makes you stop and think, how well do we really know the people around us? How many red flags do we ignore because we think, it couldn't happen to me? What does it say about our world when someone like Kada, who was simply trying to be kind, becomes a victim of someone else's darkness? If this story shook you the way it did so many of us, don't just move on. Let it be a reminder to listen, to speak up, and to protect those who can't protect themselves.
We continue to pursue anyone who helped, who concealed, who participated in this act. We will not stop.
And back out here live at Ada Lewis, a memorial for Scott continues to grow. We also know in that new court filing, detectives described interviews with 2 women that King allegedly lived with. Several items were also recovered, none of which we're told were connected to where Scott's body was found. I can also tell you that we've reached out to the suspect's attorney multiple times over the past week for comment. We have not heard back yet. Reporting live in East Germantown, Lily Zhang, NBC 10.
And if you want to help keep Kada's story alive, make sure to like this video, subscribe to Shadow Crime, and click the bell icon so you never miss an update. Because awareness isn't just about watching. It's about making sure that no one else becomes the next name we have to remember